Hi there, Nataša here from In the Kitchen with Nataša, and today I'm going to be making a cheese-filled, like a quiche or a pie, really. It's what we call Pita sirnica, or cheese pie, and I'm making it with homemade phyllo sheets that have been crumbled, so like, doesn't matter that they're all crumbled. These have been made by my mom, and then you just let them dry, and then you store them in a fancy paper bag inside another even fancier paper bag. And the ingredients are really simple. So we're going to have eggs, fresh mozzarella, sour cream, cottage cheese, and Fresco cheese. So those are our ingredients, and then we will just layer the phyllo dough, and then this mixture that I will show you in a little bit. I'll start combining all the ingredients. Now I'm doing it all from my head. There's no really good recipe. You could put as many eggs as you want. The more eggs, the better, in my opinion. And then we'll put it in the oven and bake it for about 45 minutes, depending on your oven and altitude and all of that other stuff that I'm not going to get into. And then we'll dig in. This is one of the favorite pies of my children. My kids love pita of any kind, so they're looking forward to this today for their lunch and dinner. So let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shred the Fresco cheese. Now here I have 1.5 pounds of Fresco cheese. I do not plan on using everything, but I will gauge it. So I will at least use 1 pound, so 16 ounces will for sure be used, and then I'll see if I want to use the other 8 ounces. But I'm going to shred it, and of course you can use a food processor if that's easier. You can just use your hands and crumble it, but I find that this is a really nice and easy process to just grate it or shred it on your hand or manual grater. So we're gonna do that, and then I will also add the fresh mozzarella. Now mozzarella is something that you do not have to have, but I say whatever cheese you have. If you have cheddar cheese at home, if you have even like pepper jack, my daughter loves pepper jack, I could see that going in there too. I mean, really, there is no right or wrong, but you should have some fresh cheese rather than just aged cheese. It just makes for better consistency. That's why we add cottage cheese too, to just make it a little bit more liquidy, I guess, in the consistency. And then of course lots of eggs will make sure that everything binds together, and cheese binds well with everything as well. So no need to worry about that. So I'll just continue shredding this cheese nice and easy until I have enough, and then we'll move on to mozzarella. Okay, so I have 1 pound here. I saved the 8 ounces, and now I have about 6 slices of mozzarella. And of course this can be just crumbled if you want to, but since I already have the shredder here, or the grater, I might as well just go lightly through it and grate all of this. Just helps when you're combining all of the ingredients. You will not have big clumps. It will all be uniform in size. So that's why I like to grate things or crumble things up instead of just putting them all in big chunks into the bowl. And as you can tell, like mozzarella is really, really soft, so it's just almost like getting a creamy consistency. So just run it the opposite direction on the grater if you're using one, if you happen to use a grater. Otherwise, like I mentioned before, go ahead and just crumble it with your hands, break it apart with your hands. Okay, so that's that. Now we're going to add the whole cottage cheese container, and that is a full pound. Actually, it's 24 ounces, so 1.5 pounds. So I will add that, and then we will add the eggs and maybe some sour cream. Sour cream is not a must. It does not have to go in there. If you have heavy cream, you can do heavy cream too. You will not need any milk, so This is what it looks like so far. And then I'll probably won't even add any salt to it because all of these cheeses are pretty salty. And so we won't need to add additional salt to it, which is kind of a nice thing. So that means the ingredients are really basic. Okay, let me continue working. And oh, by the way, the oven is preheating. I have it at 400 degrees. And then I'll turn on the convection and I'll probably lower it down to 370 to 350 degrees once the convection goes on. Convection fan turns on, and then it will bake for about 30 to 45 minutes. Again, it depends on your oven. This one is all gas, so it cooks things relatively fast, a lot faster than my other electric oven used to do. So I just gauge it by checking on it regularly and looking at the crust. It needs to be golden brown on both sides, the bottom as well as the top. So you want to make sure that you look underneath to make sure that it's golden brown and it's not pale. So I have everything combined here, the fresco, the cottage, and the mozzarella cheese. And now I'm going to crack, I'm gonna do 10 eggs. I'm going to crack 10 eggs into a bowl first. I'm gonna make sure that all the eggs are good to go before we put them into, combine them with the dry ingredients. And then we'll mix it all together. I do have 1 stick of unsalted butter melting on the stove because we'll need that to brush the phyllo dough because it is homemade and there's really nothing on there. It's really just flour and water. So we'll need to add a little bit of grease to it to make it nice and soft and scrumptious. So here are the 10 eggs, and I will just be adding those here and then just mixing them. You can use a whisk if it's working better. You can even use a handheld mixer, but it really does not take a long time. And something that I want to bring to your attention, if you watched me make zucchini kind of quiche or pita, it's the same base, except that now you shred zucchini in here and add some cornmeal and flaxseed that I do instead of the phyllo dough. Into this mixture, you could actually now add frozen shredded spinach. I would actually thaw it first before you add it and squeeze all the moisture out of it. And then you're actually making a pita we call pita zejanca, or basically a quiche with greens, and spinach is the basis for that. So spinach and cheese go very well together. If you know anything about the Greek too, if you've ever eaten Greek food, you probably come across a thing called spanako pita. Well, spanako, the spinach, and that is the base, and then you have the cheese. So spanako pita would be another version of this. You just need to add some spinach to it. So really the sky's the limit. You can also make this sweet if you wanted to. Since fresco has really no strong flavor, neither does the cottage cheese. If you added some sugar to this and then even jam, I mean, hello, like cheese Danish almost. Yeah, again, sky's the limit. You could also do cream cheese instead of the fresco or instead of the cottage cheese. So whatever you think would work, it probably will. You just need to be willing to experiment and not be afraid. And again, the main ingredient in all of this is love. If you're cooking from a place where you're not enjoying it, you're just stressed out, you're just trying to put a meal quickly on the table, and you're not probably in the best mood, anything you make, but especially if you're making food from scratch, will not taste as good as it should. And rightfully so. I mean, when we're not in a good mood, nothing tastes good. And so we just eat mechanically, not even enjoying the bites. So the same thing with food. If you're making it and it's not really coming from the right place, it's also not going to be the best tasting food you ever made. So keep that in mind. And here's our finished mixture. So let's go ahead and start layering. So here's my melted butter, and I will just take a few drizzles, and actually much easier if I pour some on the bottom of the pan and just kind of brush the pan all around, including the sides. It also doesn't hurt if you have a few solid pieces. I put down the first layer of phyllo dough, and it's really just pieces that have been crumbled, and that's completely fine. You do not have to worry that, oh my goodness, they're crumbled, how will that work? As a matter of fact, it will be perfect because it's kind of providing extra layers. So then I'm just adding a little bit of butter, and I'm just drizzling it. You know, this is not a low-calorie meal, so don't kid yourself. But if you're gonna make it good, make it real good. Do not do things sparingly. And then here is our mix. I'm just using a big ladle or spoon, and I'm just going to spoon this again, just drizzling all over and adding layers upon layers. And then we'll do more of the phyllo. We'll keep on layering until we're out of phyllo. Phyllo is your last layer, by the way. So you want to have phyllo on top as well as on the bottom. So do not forget that as you're doing this. So you almost have the whole thing covered. If you see this pan now, it's almost entirely covered. There's some pieces that are still visible. Don't be shy to go into the corners. You actually want to be in the corners more because that's where all the thicker parts of the dough are. I always put the thicker pieces in the corners. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, I'll keep doing this and I'll show you the finished product before it goes in the oven. So I added a final layer, just a whole bunch of phyllo that I'm kind of just making sure it's sitting flat. And if there are any areas that are not covered, you can certainly move that. And then the leftover butter, I will just drizzle all of that on top. This is going to be delicious once it's done. There. That's all. So here is our finished product before it goes into the oven. Any edges, anything that you find is not good enough, if you have some of the mix that was, you know, spilled on your pan, clean this up right now, and then off in the oven it goes. So I got it fresh out of the oven. It looks like this, and I'm going to cut a piece and try it with a dollop of sour cream. Oh, look at this. I don't know if you can see the steam coming off of it, but it's just delicious. And I want to show you the other side. This is, of course, I like the corner. And then look at the bottom. It's perfect color. So this is what you want. And you can see the phyllo layers. Then, of course, the cheese is lighter in color. And the phyllo is a darker white color. So let me add a dollop of sour cream and then we'll do some taste testing. So my children wanted to do the taste testing with me. So there they are. And they all have a piece. So go ahead, dig in and let me know what you think.
So obviously that tastes good. The warm, gooey goodness of cheese in your mouth and the phyllo dough. I think that's what it's called, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tastes so good. This is like such a good comfort food for me too. It's just amazing.
And hearing it. Tasting my first bite. And I'm right away going for the second because it's that good. And obviously you can do this with store-bought phyllo dough. You do not need to be making your own phyllo dough. But if you happen to know how to and you are up for it, it will taste amazing. So from my kitchen to yours, I hope you enjoyed watching this video and I hope you'll get a chance to make cheese pie. And until next time, we meet again, have a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click below, like my page, my YouTube channel. My kids always make fun of me because I say page instead of channel. But anyway, you know what I mean. Okay, see you later. Have a great day.